The 23 most shocking discoveries hidden in Pompeii's ashes in the last 5 years. Number 23. The children who drew death. In 2024, archaeologists made a chilling discovery on a courtyard wall. Simple charcoal sketches, but what they depicted would haunt anyone who saw them. These weren't innocent children's drawings of flowers or animals. These were detailed illustrations of gladiators locked in mortal combat, beast fighters spearing wild boars, blood and violence captured in crude stick figures. Child psychology experts studied these drawings and reached a disturbing conclusion. These weren't drawn from imagination. These children had witnessed these brutal spectacles firsthand. They had sat in Pompeii's amphitheater, watching men die for entertainment, then came home and drew what they remembered, the innocence of childhood, shattered by the savage reality of Roman entertainment. Even 2,000 years later, these drawings remind us that some things about human nature never change. Discovery number 22. The graffiti that made archaeologists laugh. Picture this. You're excavating a 2,000-year-old fast food restaurant, expecting to find ancient pottery and maybe some coins. Instead, you find something that could have been written yesterday. Scratched into the wall of a thermopolium in Regio 5, archaeologists found graffiti that read, Nicia sinaide keke tor, which translates to, Nicia, you shameless shitter. Yes, you heard that right. Someone in ancient Pompeii took the time to write bathroom humor on the wall of what was essentially the Roman equivalent of McDonald's. Some things truly are timeless. But here's what makes this discovery even more incredible. This wasn't just any snack bar. The thermopolium was perfectly preserved, complete with decorative paintings of the food they served, actual food residue still in the containers, and even the remains of a 50-year-old man who died trying to shelter there during the eruption. Ancient fast food, complete with ancient bathroom humor. Pompeii continues to prove that humans haven't changed much in 2,000 years. Discovery number 21. The slaves who never escaped. In 2023, archaeologists entered a small room in the villa of Civita Juliana and immediately knew they were looking at something heartbreaking. 2 beds, one simple and crude, the other slightly more comfortable, a hierarchy even among the enslaved. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. When they examined the ceramic vessels and amphorae more closely, they found the remains of at least 3 rodents, 2 mice in an amphora and a rat in a jug, apparently trying to escape when death came for them all. These weren't just artifacts. This was a window into the desperate, unhygienic conditions of the lowest members of Roman society, people who had no choice, no freedom, no escape, not even from the volcano that would claim them all. The room tells a story of survival, hierarchy, and ultimately shared fate. In the end, Vesuvius made equals of them all. Discovery number 20. The bench where dreams died. At the entrance to the Villa of the Mysteries, archaeologists found something that seemed ordinary at first glance. A stone bench. But this wasn't just any bench. This was where desperate people waited, sometimes for hours, hoping for an audience with one of Pompeii's most powerful citizens. The bench was positioned directly across from the villa's grand entrance, made of water-resistant coxiopesto, and on the wall above it, someone had scratched graffiti. A date, a name, evidence of the long, anxious wait. This was the Roman system of patronage in action. Lower status clients would arrive each morning, sit on this bench, and hope the villa's owner would grant them an audience. Some sought legal help, others financial assistance, all offering their political support in return. But here's the twist. There was no guarantee they'd even be seen. They could wait all day and be turned away. The bench represents hope, desperation, and the brutal social hierarchies that defined Roman life. Some waited for favors, others waited for justice. All waited for a chance at a better life. Discovery number 19. The room that revealed a family's wealth. In 2022, archaeologists discovered a house that seemed to tell 2 different stories. In the courtyard, a magnificent lararium, a household shrine decorated with an enchanted garden of lush paintings, exotic birds, and hunting scenes. The kind of artwork that screamed wealth and sophistication. But in the rooms around it, simple wooden furniture, basic ceramics, and clear signs of a family stretching their budget. Then they found the 7 waxed tablets bound together with cord, the first successful cast of such delicate objects ever made. These were likely legal documents or business records, suggesting the owner was literate and involved in commerce. This wasn't the home of Pompeii's elite. This was middle-class aspiration made visible. A family that could afford to make their courtyard beautiful, but couldn't decorate all their rooms. They invested in appearances, in the space guests would see, while living modestly behind closed doors. It's a story as old as time, keeping up appearances while struggling to make ends meet. Discovery number 18. The construction site. Frozen in time in 2024, archaeologists stumbled upon something extraordinary, a Roman construction site, abandoned mid-project when Vesuvius erupted. Tools were scattered exactly where workers had dropped them. Amphorae for mixing cement, lead weights, iron hose, all the equipment needed for major construction work. But this wasn't just any construction project. The techniques they were using were identical to those used to build the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and the baths of Caracalla. This was Roman engineering at its finest, and it was happening right here in a Pompeii neighborhood. But here's the most intriguing part. Evidence suggests the entire neighborhood was undergoing a massive renovation when the volcano struck. Multiple buildings showed signs of simultaneous construction work. Was this part of a citywide improvement project? Was someone powerful investing in this district? We'll never know because Vesuvius had other plans. The construction site stands as a monument to interrupted ambition, frozen dreams, and the randomness of fate. Discovery number 17. The frescoes that depicted ancient pizza. In 2023, archaeologists uncovered a fresco that made headlines around the world, and for good reason. Painted on a wall was what looked unmistakably like pizza. Well, sort of. It was actually focaccia bread, garnished with pomegranates and dates, served alongside a goblet of wine. The resemblance to modern Italian cuisine was striking enough to capture imaginations worldwide. This wasn't just about food, though. This fresco was part of a larger collection depicting the dining habits and culinary preferences of Pompeii's wealthy residents. It showed us that the connection between food, art, and social status was just as important 2,000 years ago as it is today. The pizza fresco became a viral sensation, proving that sometimes the most relatable discoveries are the ones that make us realize how little we've really changed. Ancient Romans. They were just like us, but with better frescoes. Discovery number 16. The mythological masterpieces. Throughout recent excavations, archaeologists have uncovered a treasure trove of frescoes depicting scenes from Greco-Roman mythology, the Trojan War, the story of Phrixus and Hel, epic tales of gods and heroes painted with stunning detail and vibrant colors that have survived nearly 2,000 years. But these weren't just decorations. They were status symbols, cultural markers, and educational tools all rolled into one. Wealthy Romans used these mythological scenes to display their education, their cultural sophistication, and their connection to the classical traditions that defined their world. Each fresco tells multiple stories, the myth it depicts, the wealth of the family who commissioned it, and the skill of the artists who created it. They're windows into a world where art, education, and social status were inextricably linked. These masterpieces remind us that the Romans weren't just builders and conquerors, they were also patrons of art who understood the power of beauty to communicate meaning. Discovery number 15. The elaborate Dionysian revelries. In 2025, archaeologists discovered frescoes that would have made even the most liberal Romans blush. Elaborate scenes of Dionysian revelry covered the walls, wild celebrations dedicated to the god of wine, featuring dancing, drinking, and activities that pushed the boundaries of Roman respectability. These weren't hidden in some secret chamber. They were prominently displayed in wealthy homes, suggesting that what we might consider scandalous was actually a mark of sophistication and religious devotion. The frescoes show us a side of Roman culture that's often overlooked. Their complex relationship with pleasure, spirituality, and social boundaries. The god Dionysus represented not just wine and celebration, but transformation, ecstasy, and the breaking of social norms. For wealthy Romans, displaying these scenes was a way of showing they were cultured enough to appreciate the deeper meanings behind the apparent hedonism. It was religion, art, and social commentary, all painted on the same wall. Discovery number 14, the Banqueting Room of Shadows. In 2024, archaeologists entered a room unlike any other they'd seen in Pompeii. The walls were jet black, not faded, not darkened by time, but deliberately painted in the deepest black possible. Against this dramatic backdrop, classical artwork seemed to glow with an otherworldly intensity. This was a banqueting room designed to create atmosphere, to make dining an experience that engaged all the senses. The black walls would have made the flickering oil lamps more dramatic, the food more colorful, the conversation more intimate. But why black? In Roman culture, black could represent sophistication, mystery, or even mourning. Was this room designed for special occasions, secret meetings, funeral banquets? The room raises more questions than it answers, but one thing is certain. Whoever designed it understood the psychology of space and the power of color to create mood. Dining here wouldn't have been just about food, it would have been theater. Discovery number 13, the prayer room with shimmering walls. Hidden within a grand residence, archaeologists found a small, intimate room painted in the softest blue. This was a private chapel, a place where the family would go to pray to their household gods. But what made it extraordinary wasn't the religious function. It was what they found scattered on the floor. Oyster shells, hundreds of them, ready to be ground into powder and mixed into paint to create an iridescent shimmer on the walls. The house was being renovated when Vesuvius struck, and this room was next on the list. The family had planned to make their prayer room literally glow, to create a space where the walls themselves would seem to shimmer with divine light. It's a poignant reminder that life doesn't pause for disasters. People were making plans, improving their homes, investing in beauty right up until the moment everything ended. The oyster shells remain scattered on the floor, a 2,000-year-old renovation project that will never be completed. Modern systems to shame. The advanced plumbing that puts modern systems to shame. In the massive private bathhouse discovered in 2025, archaeologists found something that made them question everything they thought they knew about Roman engineering. The plumbing system was so sophisticated, so precisely engineered, that the valves looked like they could have been installed yesterday. Water flowed from the street through a complex network of pipes, some diverted to the cold plunge pool, the rest heated in lead boilers for the hot rooms. The temperature control was precise. The water pressure was regulated. The whole system could be operated with valves that modern plumbers would recognize instantly. But here's the dark side of this technological marvel. While the wealthy enjoyed perfectly regulated water temperatures in their luxurious baths, enslaved people worked in the furnace room below, feeding fires in conditions so hot they were barely survivable. Roman engineering wasn't just advanced, it was designed to maximize comfort for some while ensuring misery for others. The same system that created paradise for the wealthy created hell for the enslaved. Progress, Roman style. Discovery number 11, the complete residential block that revealed an empire. In 2025, archaeologists achieved something unprecedented. They excavated an entire city block. Not just a house, not just a building, but an entire block containing a laundry, a bakery, and a massive private residence, all apparently owned by one person. This wasn't just wealth, this was economic empire building on a neighborhood scale. One individual controlled multiple businesses, multiple properties, and employed dozens of people across various industries. The block tells the story of Roman capitalism in action: vertical integration, diversified investments, economic power concentrated in the hands of a few. But it also reveals the interconnectedness of Roman urban life. The same person who owned the bakery that fed the neighborhood also owned the laundry that cleaned their clothes and the grand house where political deals were made. This was how power really worked in Pompeii, not just through politics or military might, but through economic control of the basic necessities of daily life. One block, one owner, one glimpse into the economic machinery that powered the Roman Empire. Discovery number 10, the Stabian baths victim who tells a story. In the changing room of the Stabian baths, archaeologists found a plaster cast that stops visitors in their tracks. It's the figure of a person, captured in their final moments, preserved exactly as they died nearly 2,000 years ago. But this isn't just another victim of Vesuvius. This person died in a public bathhouse, a place of relaxation, socializing, and daily routine. They were probably just finishing their bath, getting dressed, preparing to go home to their family. The cast captures not just death, but the interruption of ordinary life. This person had no idea they were living their last moments. They were thinking about dinner, about work tomorrow, about mundane concerns that would never matter again. The Stabian baths victim reminds us that disasters don't wait for convenient moments. They strike in the middle of ordinary Tuesday afternoons, while people are doing ordinary things. Sometimes the most powerful archaeological discoveries are the ones that remind us how fragile normal life really is. Discovery number 9. The Great Pompeii Project's Hidden Treasures. Between 2012 and 2023, the Great Pompeii Project saved more than 1.6 miles of ancient walls from collapse. But saving the walls was just the beginning. Behind those walls, in areas that hadn't been excavated for decades, archaeologists found treasure after treasure. New houses, new frescoes, new insights into daily life. The project revealed that Pompeii still has secrets hidden in every corner, waiting for the right moment to emerge. This wasn't just conservation, it was discovery on an industrial scale. Every wall they stabilized revealed new rooms. Every room contained new artifacts. Every artifact told new stories. The Great Pompeii Project proved that sometimes the most important discoveries come not from seeking new sites, but from properly exploring the ones we already have. Pompeii isn't running out of secrets. We're just getting better at finding them. Discovery number 8. The private bathhouse that redefined luxury. In January 2025, archaeologists made what they called a once-in-a-century discovery. They found a private bathhouse so large, so elaborate, so perfectly preserved that it redefined what they thought they knew about Roman luxury. This wasn't just a bathroom, this was a spa complex that could accommodate 20 to 30 people at once. Hot rooms, warm rooms, cold rooms, and a plunge pool over a meter deep. Mosaic floors with marble from across the Roman Empire, vibrant red walls that still glow with color. But here's what made it truly extraordinary. It was potentially the largest private bathhouse ever found in Pompeii. This level of luxury was reserved for only the wealthiest of the wealthy, the kind of people who didn't just have money, they had the kind of generational wealth that could fund engineering projects rivaling public works. The bathhouse represents the peak of Roman domestic luxury, a level of comfort and sophistication that wouldn't be matched again for centuries. Discovery number 7. The post-eruption survivors who refused to give up. For decades, historians believed Pompeii was abandoned after the eruption. The city died in 79 CE, and that was the end of the story. They were wrong. In 2025, archaeologists found overwhelming evidence that people returned to Pompeii and lived there for centuries after the disaster. Survivors came back. Newcomers arrived. They lived in the upper floors of buildings that jutted above the ash. They turned buried rooms into cellars. They built ovens for baking bread. They subdivided large spaces into smaller living areas. Ceramics from successive emperors, coins spanning centuries, even 5th century oil lamps bearing Christian symbols. This wasn't just survival, it was adaptation. These people looked at a destroyed city and saw opportunity. They turned disaster into a chance for a new beginning. The post-eruption occupation of Pompeii is a story of human resilience that historians missed for decades. Sometimes the most important discoveries are the ones that force us to rewrite what we thought we knew. Discovery number 6. The life-size statues that guarded secrets. In 2024, archaeologists found 2 life-size statues outside a tomb that were so perfectly preserved, so meticulously detailed, they seemed almost alive. A man and a woman carved during the late Republic period with clothing, jewelry, and accessories rendered in stunning detail. The woman wore a crescent moon pendant, a lunula, designed to ward off evil spirits. But these weren't just beautiful sculptures. They were guardians placed together to suggest a family relationship, husband and wife, mother and son. We may never know. What we do know is that they were carved by master sculptors for people wealthy enough to commission life-size portraits in stone. These statues were meant to preserve memory, to ensure that the dead would never be forgotten. The level of craftsmanship suggests these people weren't just wealthy. They were connected to the highest levels of Roman society, possibly including priestesses of important cults. 2 statues, standing guard over secrets we're still trying to uncover. Discovery number 5, the House of Hell and Phrixus family's final stand. In 2025, archaeologists entered the House of Hell in Phrixus and found evidence of one of the most heartbreaking final stands in Pompeii's history. A family had barricaded themselves in a bedroom, using a bed frame to block the door against the accumulating volcanic ash. They thought they could wait it out, that the door would hold, that they would survive. They were wrong. 4 bodies were found inside, including a child. They had fought against the inevitable until the very end, but Vesuvius was stronger than their desperation. The bed frame was still there, pressed against the door, a 2,000-year-old testament to the human refusal to give up hope even in the face of certain death. This wasn't just archaeology. It was a crime scene where the criminal was a volcano and the victims were a family who refused to believe they were doomed. Sometimes courage isn't enough. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes even the strongest will to survive isn't enough. Discovery number 4, the skeletons that revealed Pompeii's dark truth. In the grand residence with the massive bathhouse, archaeologists found 2 skeletons that told a story of inequality so stark it's hard to believe. A woman, aged 35 to 50, found clutching gold coins and pearl earrings. Her bones and teeth were in excellent condition, suggesting a life of comfort and good nutrition. Beside her, a young man in his teens or early 20s. His bones showed signs of wear and hard labor despite his youth. He held keys. Perhaps he was responsible for the household, or perhaps he was trying to unlock their escape. 2 people dying in the same room, but their bones told stories of completely different lives. One lived in luxury, the other in servitude. One ate well, the other worked hard. One wore jewelry, the other carried keys. In death, they were equal. In life, they inhabited different worlds despite sharing the same house. The skeletons remind us that Pompeii wasn't just a city. It was a society built on profound inequality, where your social status determined not just how you lived, but how your bones would look 2,000 years later. Discovery number 3, the slave room that exposed Roman hierarchy. In 2023, archaeologists discovered something that made them question everything they thought they knew about slavery in ancient Rome. In the villa of Civita Juliana, they found a room that had housed enslaved people. But this wasn't just one room. It was part of a complex system that revealed the sophisticated psychology of Roman slavery. 2 beds, one simple and crude, the other more comfortable. Even among the enslaved, there was hierarchy. Some slaves were trusted with better conditions, better treatment, perhaps even the possibility of eventual freedom. But here's the most chilling part. There were no window bars, no chains, no physical restraints. Control was maintained through the social system itself, through hope and fear and the promise that good behavior might lead to better treatment. The Romans had perfected psychological control. They made enslaved people complicit in their own oppression by creating hierarchies that gave some hope while keeping others desperate. It was slavery designed not just to extract labor, but to prevent rebellion by making the enslaved compete with each other instead of uniting against their oppressors. Discovery number 2, the ceremonial chariot that survived the impossible. In February 2021, archaeologists made a discovery so extraordinary that it defied belief. A 4-wheeled ceremonial chariot, a palentum, buried for nearly 2,000 years and preserved in perfect condition. This wasn't just any chariot. This was a vehicle used by the Roman elite for the most important ceremonies, decorated with intricate details that spoke of wealth, power, and social status at the highest levels. But here's what makes this discovery truly mind-blowing. Wooden vehicles don't survive 2,000 years. They rot, they crumble, they disappear. Yet, here was a chariot so perfectly preserved that every detail of its construction was visible. The volcanic ash that destroyed Pompeii had also created a perfect preservation chamber, protecting this chariot from decay, moisture, and time itself. It's as if Vesuvius was both destroyer and protector, taking lives while preserving artifacts that would have been lost to history under normal circumstances. The ceremonial chariot represents the impossible made real, a wooden vehicle that traveled through time to tell us stories about power, ceremony, and the Roman elite. Discovery number 1, the Casa del Tiaso, where mortals became gods. In February 2025, archaeologists entered a room in the Casa del Tiaso and found themselves face to face with one of the most extraordinary artistic achievements in human history, an almost life-size frieze, a megalography, covering 3 walls of a banqueting room. But this wasn't just art. This was a window into the most secret, most sacred rituals of the ancient world. The frieze depicts a Dionysiac procession, wild bacchantes dancing and hunting, satyrs playing music, and at the center, a mortal woman being initiated into the mysteries of Dionysus, the god who dies and is reborn. But here's what makes this discovery absolutely mind-blowing. All the figures are painted as if they're standing on pedestals like statues, yet they appear completely alive. It's an artistic technique that plays with reality and illusion in ways that wouldn't be seen again for centuries. This frieze is over 100 years older than the eruption that preserved it. For a century, wealthy Romans dined in this room, surrounded by images of divine transformation, of mortals becoming gods through sacred ritual. The Casa del Tiaso megalography isn't just the most spectacular recent discovery in Pompeii. It's one of the most important artistic discoveries of the 21st century. It's a masterpiece that was already ancient when Vesuvius erupted, preserved by disaster to amaze us 2,000 years later. In this room, art, religion, and human ambition combine to create something that transcends time itself.